Excellencies, fellow ministers and delegates, esteemed guests, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. I'm honored to share my insights and perspective on the military modernization and new defense capabilities. The distinguished participants of this year's Shangri-La dialogue. Thank you, John, for inviting me and also your group, International Institute for Strategic Studies, or IISS, for also giving me the chance to come here again. The global and regional security environment is getting more volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous. As such, defense and security institutions are forced to keep up with global trends seen through the dynamics of their security environment. For instance, in the Indo-Pacific region. Modernization is our primary response to these transformations. In the Asia-Pacific, this is operating in a more distinct context as countries operate under the shadows of geopolitical competition between and among major powers. This is where the multifaceted nature of military modernization comes in terms of its risks and opportunities. During the Cold War, we witnessed the intense arms race between the United States and Soviet Union. Many decades later, the fear of arms race is again rearing its ugly head as new strategic competition materializes. And while the arms race now is not as intense as before, the calculus has changed as there are now more nuclear-armed players. Nuclearization is one challenge that demands collective action to prevent proliferation and development of new ones. The Treaty on the Prohibition of Nuclear Weapons came into force in 2020. The Philippines is among those that have already ratified it. This landmark initiative strives to put an end to the proliferation of nuclear weapons and weapons technology, promote cooperation in the peaceful uses of nuclear energy, and further the goal of achieving nuclear disarmament. Defense modernization always entails significant amount of cost or spending. In a state like my country, with competing resources and budgetary constraints, where guns versus plowshares and bullets versus butter are legitimate concerns, defense modernization diverts or even stops government spending for social welfare and economic development. As we enter the so-called Fifth Industrial Revolution, application of technology to warfare has also become more diverse to the detriment of smaller and less developed countries. Technology has become so advanced that it is now transforming and altering the phase and pace of warfare. Case in point is the emergence of artificial intelligence and fifth-generation telecommunications technologies in defense capability development. These technologies contribute to the rise of unconventional, ambiguous, or gray zone strategies, where rules of engagement are vague and below the threshold of open-arm provocation. Quantum computing technology also presents new avenues for domination. While knowledge on these technologies is still in its infancy, major powers show keen interest to explore further development. Thus, the competition for technological supremacy is fierce due to the advantage that will accrue to whoever gets there first. Quantum computing may likewise render obsolete the critical cryptographic softwares and pertinent encryption protocols that protect sensitive digital information. These new and emerging defense capabilities may be exploited not only by state, but also by non-state actors to target people and critical infrastructure at the extreme peril of small and unprepared countries. International regulation is therefore imperative on the use of cyber capabilities, artificial intelligence, quantum computing technology, and other new forms of inventions for offensive and disruptive purposes. Notwithstanding all these risks and costs, new defense capabilities present benefits that are critical in maintaining a stable regional balance. The primary goal of improving defense capabilities is deterrence. Some argue that there is a potential for hypersonic weapons to increase the deterrent capability in the entire Indo-Pacific region. We will see if that is true. Artificial intelligence and 5G technologies, on the other hand, can enhance intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance systems and improve command and control and cyber operations. It is also argued that cyber capabilities can be a great equalizer among states. The idea of unfeasible cyber deterrence is gaining adherence. Continuous advancement in technology also carry prospects of reducing the cost of modernization, freeing up funds for trade and investment to spur economic development, which in turn will contribute further to regional security. As happened in the past, few defense technologies and innovation could be harnessed for civilian purposes. Similarly, defense industry and technology may also strengthen bilateral and multilateral cooperation, as well as establishing new partnerships among non-traditional partners. It also has the potential to encourage public-private partnership. The Philippines is looking into innovative options to enhance technology transfer, such as co-production, counter-trade, and special foreign exchange reduction schemes. Technology and information sharing is increasingly becoming a norm in the region, especially in dealing with transboundary security issues such as terrorism, natural disasters, and maritime security issues. The joint trilateral maritime and air patrol among the Philippines, Indonesia, and Malaysia has turned the Celebes and Sulu Seas peaceful and stable after a long period of being in a state of lawlessness. Defense modernization is also an important added benefit to a nation. In the Philippines, our major capital equipment acquisitions such as ships, air assets, and engineering equipment are also extensively used for humanitarian assistance and disaster response. The Philippines being a typhoon-prone country, these capabilities make reaction faster that could save lives and properties. Modernization is not only material acquisitions. More importantly, it includes the improvement of human resources and system solutions, such as formulation of doctrines, focusing on jointness and interoperability, rationalization of the organization, education of personnel, promotion of good leadership, and skills development. The ultimate aim is the professionalization of our armed forces, competent, gender-responsive, and culture-sensitive soldiers, and defense officials who can keep up with the present and future demands of defense, both during conflicts and in peacetime. Since the dawn of history, humans have always tried to outdo each other militarily by arming themselves. This process was coined by Hans Morgenthau as the balance of power theory, which simply means that states may secure their survival by preventing any one state from gaining enough military power to dominate all others, And that's precisely the reason why we have the arms race. Morgenthau also said that the balance of power is a perennial element in human history, regardless of contemporary condition that the international system operates under. If you look back at history up to the present, we see that Morgenthau was right. Balance of power that spawns arms race has been with us and will not end. But as members of the international community with advanced communication, closer ties, and interconnected supply chains and trade, we pray we will not again sleepwalk into a general war through miscalculation, accident, or hubris. Thank you very much for listening.
Secretary Lorenzana, thank you very much. And you mentioned in your remarks cyber capabilities is potentially a great equalizer, and it allows me to make, as it were, a party political broadcast and say that the IISS has done